guys. So I've done a small hole there, which I've been underneath and checked, and that's exactly centre of the chassis beam and the step. So that 135mm hole will fit just in there. I've got my 135mm hole saw. Bought it off eBay. It was £16.50 including postage, so it's not out the way. I know it's only the one hole I've got to do with it, but it just makes for a neater job. So I'm going to get to it and start cutting the hole. And there we have it. Got a really great hole in the floor, and there's the bit. Now I held the drill bit straight up even though the floor's not level. I wanted it to cut the shape of the hole that I wanted the cowling to go through at. So of course the fan's going to sit level, so I want the drill level even though the floor and under the seat is not level, if you get what I mean. So I'm just going to hoover out now and see if I can test fit this heater. So got the hole cut, the big hole cut. It's 135mm. I've painted around the edge to make it all look nice and deburred it and all that sort of thing. I've cut a hole in the back here, deburred it and painted the edges. So the heater will sit in there, the pipe will come out of here, and then I've still got to cut a hole in this bench seat. And then, like I said, I'm going to use this heater box as a manifold. I've run a test piece up and this stuff does melt, but I was testing it really close to the heater and I was running for a good 2 hours and it just made it soft. So I'm hoping with the distance away plus the heat that this radiator in here is going to take to boost the underfloor heating, by the time it's reached these pipes it'll be acceptable. This pipe will go up to like 55-60 degrees. That's where it comes out of there, nearly 70 degrees. If need be, what I'll do is this aluminium flex conduit stuff, air pipe and stuff, I'll come out of here and then I'll connect it onto there, so that the stuff that's doing all the bends will be the aluminium pipe, and then I'll just join it onto these so I can still use my existing ducting that I've got in the van. So the next stage is I'm going to fit the heater, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some silicone sealant, because silicon's fairly heat resistant, but it doesn't get that hot around here anyway. So I'll put some sealant around there, drop it in, and then that sealed it from the top side inside the van. And then I'll get underneath and seal around the other side as well, so it's a good tight seal around there. And like you say, I've sealed in this to this to this. So there's, if anything leaks around the gas port, the exhaust, it's got no fear of venting back into the van through any leaks. So that's my next port. Get this fitted and go from there. Right, I've got the exhaust put in. It's all the heat is all screwed in place and sealed, so there's no fear of any leak from there going back into the cab. So it comes out of here, goes to a little support bracket into this, and I didn't use the exhaust that came with it. I had a spare Webasto silencer, and they're really superior to any other brand, whether you go for Herbispatcher or the one that comes with it. You can't see through this, as where the cheap Chinese diesel heater ones, you can just see all the way through it. Even the Herbispatcher, you can see through it, so these are super quiet. Now a lot of people can go, oh, you mounted that upside down, there's a pinhole on the other side. No, you only get the pinhole on the cheap Chinese diesel heater ones. There is no pinhole on these. So then it goes through that silencer, out through this little dog leg, and into the outside of the van. I'm hoping to get a little finisher for on there, and I've left it so it's got a bit of bounce and flex so it don't fatigue, and that's all secured. I put a little L-shaped bracket there, look, just it goes on there, and that's all nice and secure now, so that's not going anywhere. Okay guys, so I'm about to put the plug through the floor to my fuel pump. Now I don't want to have to drill a massive hole just to fit the plug through the hole. I only want to do a hole as big as the wire. So I'm going to deep in the plug, and then I'll repin it. So first of all, you want to make a note of the orientation of the wiring, so you make it sure you get it in the right place. Now on here, I don't know if you can see it, it's got 1 and 2, and the yellow one goes to number 2, the brown one goes to number 1. If you're in any doubt, take a picture of the orientation of the metal release clip and the colours of the wires. So if the metal's up, you want the yellow on the left, metal's up, brown on the right. So first thing you want to do is release this little locking tab. There, can you see that? There's a little locking tab there, that just prevents the wires from releasing. Now you can buy proper tools, deep pinning tools. I have got them at work, but I haven't got any here at home. So what I've got is a paper hair clip that I've cut the 2 little knobbles off the end. Sorry, there. Cut the 2 little knobbles off and then straightened one side out, and that just gives you a nice nice little clip thing there. Can you see that? So then what you do then is you go on, can you see either side? So you go perpendicular to the orientation of the slit that the pin goes in. I'm just trying to get myself on camera, it's mirrored image. Right there, so you go that way, and then this way, look, you can see the 2 bigger ones. So you go in either side of there with your pin, hair clip, and you just push. And then what that does is it releases the wire. And you've got 2 little wings either side. And what your pin's hair clip's doing is it's going down. You can see that, and pushes them 2 little wings in and lets it release. And you do the same on the other one. You push it and you might hear a little click, and it just goes in, and then you pull it out and you get your brown one out, and then that's de-pinned. Now these can go back on, there's no reason why you can't. What you might want to do is just get a little pin and just flick them little wings out, and what that'll do then is it'll make it so it grips super tight, making sure you don't damage these little grommets. What that'll do is it'll keep the plug watertight, and go from there. So now what I can do is I can go through there and cut a hole, drill a hole in the floor, only as big as them 2 wires, which is a lot smaller than the plug, of course. So when you put them back in, you literally just push and you'll hear a good click, and that's it back, and then you click that back over, and what that'll do then is it will all lock it all in place so that your pins don't come out. Hope that makes sense. So I'll get drilling the hole now for the wire to go through the floor. So I've put the hole in the floor, give it a lick of paint, poke the wire through. Now what I'm going to go and do is go back on the other side and re-put my pins back in my plug, plug it into the fuel pump. So I'm on the underside of the van now, going to plug this back in, and the yellow one went to there's still a bit of paint on there. The yellow one went to number 2 to the left. Just push that back in a minute, try and get it the right orientation. That's it, and that don't come in or out now. And the same on this one, just check I've got it the right orientation. You hear that click? So that's clicked in, and then click that bit back over, and that's it, job done. So that means now I've only had to cut a hole the size of this wire and not for the plug, and that's all ready now to plug onto the fuel pump. Right guys, so as you saw, got the exhaust on, put the inlet manifold on into the silencer. I couldn't get it up towards there, I just couldn't get my drill up there to screw my little, I think they're called terry clips, up there, and the only place I could do it without going through the floor is into that reinforcing joint there. So that's all secure now. It's still clean where it is, so it ain't going to suck in any dirt. Put the wire through, as you saw, that's all siliconed up so water don't get up there. Got my fuel pipe on there with my diesel ticker pump. My pipe runs up there, over there to the other side of the tank, and then taps into the fuel line, which I'll show you now. As you can see, it comes from the other side of the tank. From the other side, you just see the silencer there, comes across the chassis rail and then tees into my fuel line for my hydronic diesel heater. That's a thinner pipe because it's a shorter distance. When I did the thinner pipe for that distance for the hydronic diesel heater, it adds too much restriction to the diesel flow. Still kept my fuel tap solenoid, so fuel tap, so that if it does have a leak, because it will siphon out, I can just switch that off and I won't lose too much diesel then. So I've got the heater box out. These are the two pipes that feed it. And these are your power wires, and that's your speed controller. But the fan inside this pulls more power than that diesel heater, the second diesel heater. So I'm going to use this as a manifold. So I'm going to take this apart, take the fan out of there, put my air pipe into there, block that end off so that the air will blow in there from the diesel heater into this area here, which has got the radiator in it. You'll see when I get the cover off, and then it will come out through these 5 air ducts using the existing heat ducts that we've got in the system. So I'll get taking it apart and show you what's inside. So I've got the cover off. You can see like the little radiator in here. It just zigzags backwards and forwards in there with lots of copper piping. And then there's this like air fins on it that the air blows through, converts that hot water into hot air. As you can see, this is not the most efficient motor, so I'm hoping I can get that off without ruining the structure. Now I have just noticed that the back of this is also vented, so I'll need to block that off, and then also I'll need to silicone seal around this edge, so all the air that blows in there will go through that. So I'll get taking the motor out and see what happens. As for the heater, this has all been gutted out, this heater box, so now that's just a radiator in there, the heater duct there from the main heater that blows into this chamber here, fills that up, and then comes out of these ducts and then through all the other heating ducts. So now that's just an empty chamber. As you can see, I blanked off this end, so it just fills it up. Now it's not particularly great at pushing air through to this because it's just creating turbulence in this heater box, so I'm going to come up with a different method of diffusing to these. I've got something in mind that I'm going to do, but that comes in a future video. So now I'll show you where the diesel heater is installed. So there's my diesel heater under my seat. That's all plumbed in, wired in, and everything like that. Just got to put my fuse boxes back in there. You have these two little fuse boxes, they've got to go back in there. I've got to do that now. But other than that, it's all functioning and up and ready to go. So confessions, well, not confessions, but a change in scenario. I was going to use the Nest controller instead of this, or I was actually going to have a switch, because this has got a diagnostic screen on it, a code reader. So I was going to have a switch so I could run either off this or off the Nest controller. Now, however, this puts out a CAN bus signal. Now, if you know what a CAN bus signal, basically it's a pulse of either an earth or a live or both. It's basically like a Morse code. It goes and it sends signals of voltages or earths to a computer that's within the heater box, that's within this. Now the two communicate via a CAN bus signal. Now, because it's a CAN bus signal as opposed to a trigger live, I can't use the Nest controller to control that. Not unless they do a converter, adapter or something like that, which I will look into, but I don't think they do. So I'm going to extend these wires for this controller and mount it up near the Nest controller up there. So I'm going to fire it up now and you'll see how it works. I don't really know how you work it. I weren't really that bothered because I weren't going to use it, but I know how to switch it on and that's about it. Just turn it up. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's flat out. At the moment it's going through a purge cycle. So it's expelling all the air from the chamber. You can see this green and red arrow flashing for the inlet and exhaust. It's telling us it's 19 degrees in this fan at the minute. It's telling us we've got power, and I've asked it to call for heat. I don't know if there's an option to go for cold. I don't really know. But the ticker pump will kick in. It's fluctuating between 20 and 19 degrees at the minute. The fuel pump will kick in a minute. Can you hear that? So that's the fuel pump kicking in. So it blows through this duct in here into that bit under the seat which I told you about. And she's just about starting to get up some decent heat now. So the heater at the moment is chucking out 34, 36 degrees, and that'll get up to about 180 degrees, that will, but that's for furnace temperature. That's the temperature of inside that heater, not what it's actually chucking out. So I can feel air movement coming out there, and it's gradually getting warm. At the moment it's just basically room temperature coming out of there, just a breeze. But the hotter that gets, the more that fan will get up to temperature. We're at 62 degrees now, 64, 66. I mean, that sounds quite noisy, but when I get my cover on there again, excuse me, just quiets it down a little bit. I'll just take you around the towards the exhaust now, and that is kicking out there some proper heat. I don't think it's that noisy, not compared to my hydronic one. I need to get another one of these silencers for the back boiler because that's fairly quiet. So I need another one of them for the back and change it out. I've mounted the exhaust away from all the windows because the opening window's there and the exhaust is down there. Chances of me having this window open with that boiler running is going to be slim to none. So it's a good metre to one side away from the opening window, so if we did have that heat window open and that running, it's going up rather than across. But you ain't going to have the window open when you've got your heater running anyway. The thing that concerns me most is how noisy that fuel pump is. Can you hear it? That is ridiculously loud. It's not loud inside, it's just loud outside. So we're back inside again now, and you can't hear that ticker pump. You just hear the fan of inside the heater. So that'll do me. So that about wraps up this heater install. It's just an extra backup heater for the underfloor heating, so when it gets really cold I can kick this heater in. Majority of the time I'll run off just off the underfloor heating, but we're getting to the time of year now where that's just not doing its job, so we'll use this more in the winter and stuff like that. But anyway, if you like what you've seen, please like, please subscribe and please share, and if you really feel like it, hit that little notification button and you'll get to see all our future videos. And on that note, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.